High above the Italian Alps, a cable car carrying happy and excited skiers plummets towards the ground, and not for the first time. In the heart of the Italian Dolomites, the resort town of Cavalese seemed a place of joy. Winter slopes, cable cars rising to Mount Cermis, laughter, families, holiday photographs. But this picturesque setting harbors something darker. Twice, in 1976 and again in 1998, the sky over Cavalese turned into horror. Two accidents, two tragedies, both involving cable cars and the loss of innocent lives. What happened in each case, and how did the same place become the site of such repeated disaster? To understand, we must rewind the clock to the first collapse. It was a bright afternoon on the slopes above Cavalese. The snow was perfect, crisp, untouched in places, glistening under the late winter sun. Skiers carved gentle lines down the mountain. Families gathered at the mid-stations for hot chocolate and laughter. The cable cars moved steadily up and down Mount Cermis, a familiar rhythm of cables humming and cabins gliding through the alpine air. No one could have imagined what was about to happen next. In the late afternoon of March 9, 1976, at approximately 1719 local time, a fully loaded cable car began its descent from Mount Cermis toward Cavalese. Inside the cabin were 43 people, a mixture of holidaymakers, including many children returning from a ski trip. Then, as the car passed a pylon, something went terribly wrong. The support steel cable beneath the system fractured. The cause? An overlap of the carrier cable and the support cable near the inner pylon triggered an abnormal stress, which the safety system should have prevented. In an instant, the cabin plunged downward almost 200 meters, then dragged across the snowy terrain for another 100 to 200 meters before coming to rest in a meadow. The 3-ton carriage assembly collapsed onto the cabin, crushing those inside. The investigation later revealed that many victims died not from the fall itself, but from suffocation under the weight of the wreckage. There was only one survivor, a 14-year-old girl, who later testified in court. In total, 42 or 43 lives were lost, including 15 children aged between 7 and 15, and the 18-year-old attendant. What made the tragedy worse? A combination of human error, mechanical failure, cost-cutting, and disabled safety systems. Investigators found the operator had disabled the automatic stop system after cable overlaps had been occurring frequently. The operator himself had not been properly licensed. Trials followed. Several lift company officials were jailed for their roles. The scenic valley of Cavalese would never look the same. The mountains still stood silent, but so many voices had vanished. 2 decades later, on February 3, 1998, near the very same town of Cavalese, another cable car tragedy struck, but under very different circumstances. A squadron of the United States Marine Corps flying an EA-6B Prowler jet on a low-altitude training mission out of Aviano Air Base sliced into the cable car's supporting wire. The aircraft was traveling at high speed. Estimates put it at around 540 miles per hour, or 870 kilometers per hour, and at an altitude of roughly 260 to 330 feet, or 80 to 100 meters above ground, well below the minimum allowed of 2,000 feet. At the point of impact, the right wing severed the cable holding up a descending tram gondola on Mount Cermis. The gondola plummeted more than 250 to 300 feet into the valley floor, crushing everyone inside.
20 people died that day. Tourists and visitors from Germany, Belgium, Italy, Poland, Austria, the Netherlands. The jet, damaged, returned safely to its base, but the friendly skies of the Alps were broken. The subsequent investigation found the U.S. crew was flying below restrictions. Maps on board did not show the cable lift cables. The flight path violated Italian regulations, and critical evidence, including a videotape, was destroyed. In March 1999, a U.S. jury acquitted the pilot of involuntary manslaughter and negligent homicide charges. Outrage erupted in Italy. Eventually, compensation followed. The Italian government approved a payment plan of approximately $1.9 million per victim. Treaty obligations meant the U.S. should pay 75% of compensation. For the people of Cavalese and the wider Italian public, questions of sovereignty, military oversight, civilian safety, and accountability echoed far beyond the mountains. Both of these tragedies happened in the same valley, on the same ski mountain, yet under entirely different causes. One a mechanical and regulatory failure in the cable car system itself, the other an external intrusion from a military aircraft cutting through cable lines reserved for peace and leisure. In 1976, the enemy was negligence and the disabling of safety systems. In 1998, the enemy was speed, altitude violations, disregard for civilian infrastructure. In both cases, the victims were civilians, innocent in holiday gear, looking forward to a descent from the mountain. In both cases, the catastrophe was swift. The lift met the mountain, or the aircraft met the cable, and lives were lost in instant chaos.